Welcome to the Sangani Show, where we will talk about everything health, wealth, and wisdom. I came to the US in 1983 from Mumbai, India with $10.45 in my pocket and with a big dream in my heart. Now, I'm a practicing cardiologist, a businessman, an entrepreneur, life mentor, and most importantly, a dad. I have lost some, I won some. But every time I lost or won, I learned even more. And my success has not been easy, but finally I made it. And my next mission is to help you do the same. Learn from my experiences, and that is life is a business. Hi there, and welcome to the Sangani Show. And my name is, well, you guessed it, Dr. Bharat Sangani, your favorite doctor and the host. Today we are going to talk about, what are I talking about today? Finding your tribe and the importance of having the right one. My digital media boss, Micah, created this topic. So I'll have to now explain it to you, what it really means in the layman's term. So the guest today we have is going to talk about how do you really find the true consultant to get your life in compliance, in order, and not get into any trouble. And that's what basically Micah's title, Finding Your Tribe and the Importance of Having the Right One. So let's start with that. Now that you know the fancy title, and now you also know what it really means, meet my dear friend, Mr. Upendra Vora.
Welcome, Doc, getting me into this tribe. Thank you.
We, with affection and love, call him UN. Most of his people also call him as UN. So UN has been a very special person in my life. He has been with me when I was in Mississippi. He has been with me throughout my journey, my entire professional journey in Dallas and elsewhere in the country. When I first started my professional journey, the first person who I ended up, I shouldn't really use the word hire because he actually did me a lot of favors just to help me out. The first person who helped me to put my businesses together, the tech structure together, and that tech structure has been the same structure. The corporate structure is still the same after 30 years of being together.
Thank you, Doc.
So he has been with us for 30 years, and instead of me spoiling the fun of who truly he is and his background from chemical engineer to what he is today and all the other MBAs and stuff like that, I'll just let him speak about himself. So UN, can you please tell our audience a little bit about you, and don't have to be modest, okay?
Yes, sir. I'll try to be humble, but let's see.
No need to be.
My wife tells me all the time that you're never humble. So we'll see what happens today. But I appreciate, Doc, what you say, few words about me, and I'm glad to have you, as I said earlier, in your tribe, and you're founding me one. I am an engineer. I started my journey back home, and an engineer turning 180 degrees into finance, that is very interesting, And I went my master's in Chicago, then I did going for my PhD at MIT. And my son famously calls me MIT dropout, because I couldn't complete my MIT PhD and ended up in Exxon. And Exxon Engineering told me you are more suited towards the strategic planning and MBA. So they put me through the New York University MBA. And then I used to work for Caltex Petroleum, where they were trying to groom me to be SVP and all that. But unfortunately, I couldn't go to Singapore and New Zealand, where they moved their headquarters, Singapore, So I started my own business, and then people started consulting, and people started asking me, are you a certified public accountant? And I said, what the heck I have to do for that? So let's just figure out, I ended up going through UTD, University of Texas, Dallas, and said, what do I need to do? I said, well, you have to take 6 courses, or we can sort it out to 5 courses. And I ended up taking 5 courses in one summer. They didn't allow me that, but ended up that. And finally, I got my CPA, and then I became a certified public accountant, and very happy to be CPA, and then did my certified financial planning and MBA. Now with the AICPA, they also give a certificate called PFS, Personal Financial Specialist. So I have been PFS for over 20 years. But I love what I do, and main thing, the reason I enjoyed the financial is I can see fruits of my results right away. I can help someone and I can see the results, and it gives me so much satisfaction that a person can grow financially, can grow businesses, with the right mindset.
No, I've seen you help a lot of people, including me. And it's not only that you help people who are your clients. You are always available to help whether they are your client or not. You've never not taken anybody's message or phone call whenever time comes to help. So there are a lot of qualities that I've learned from you. But for audience and our listeners' sake, let me start with the first question. When people are looking for their tribe, what should they look for? Because it's very difficult, right? I mean, I can tell what to look for when you are looking for a physician, but it is hard for me to explain to people what they should look for when they're looking for the other tribes for their help. And you are seeing all kinds of people, they come to you, you have your specific tribe of your own. So what do you think people should look for?
My general advice, to everyone since last 30 years that I have been doing this is, first thing you want to see is he a good listener. A person to be helping you has to be a very good listener. And then one thing you always ask them, their availability. The problem, doc, with our profession is that we are always have deadlines, or we are always busy doing something. And if somebody calls and you don't get answered within even 24 hours, the client gets frustrated. Say, I need some help today, and how can I get it? So what I made my policy, doc, and I tell everybody that if your whatever your advisor is, if they are available 24/7, in fact, generally most people don't bother you 24/7. But idea is they should be available when you are. Once you look for that their availability, then you look for the knowledge. Now, as I said, I'm not perfect person. I have a lot of imperfections. And I tell my clients that I know only 1% of accounting and taxation. Although I know quite a bit. But the field is so vast that it's very difficult to know each and everything. So a lot of people come to me and ask me, should I do this? Should I do that? I said, look, we will find my limitations that I know where I should stop. And if I can't stop there, I'll find you the referral or somebody else, which will be as good as me, who will be available at the same time, who can listen to you, who can explain you everything what you need to do. So that's the one important part in any field. First, you look for his listener, then you look for availability, you look for his knowledge. That is he knowledgeable, or does he have wherewithal, even if he doesn't know something, to get something quick, grasp something quick, and explain you in layman terms how, what, and why.
This is very good. And as all of you heard, he laid down in 4 different pathways before you actually hire a person to help you, whether it's a lawyer or a tax accountant or estate planner, etc., etc. Anybody whom you want, make sure that those 4 items that he talked about is clearly available to that. And just to add one more thing from my side is I also like to check out references. I think it is very important that in this digital world, in the social media, there's so much good stuff, so much not so good stuff is available. So much information, so much misinformation is available that it's hard to make up your mind. So you reach out to the people whom you know and then say, who do you go to? And what do you think about this? Or the person you have found, ask some references of that person. And call those people and be blunt and ask exact questions that you would really like to know.
I think that's a very good thing and I appreciate that. And always I say that without checking. Like example, if they ask me lawyers, I always give them 2 or 3 lawyers' name so that they can talk to each one of them. And then, as you said correctly, ask each one of them what are the good, if you have anybody that you can refer that we can talk to, you have helped them for many years.
No, it's very, very important. And
Yes, sir.
references, I always say that when you a few people talk good about you, that means you have done something good. And if you don't have anybody to say good about you, then you got a serious problem. A lot of times people will say, "Oh, it's a very secret. The word they use is confidential." But let me tell you something. They are confidential matters, but nobody has a problem saying how good a person you are.
Exactly.
That should not be confidential.
Confidential.
I run away from people who say, I cannot give you any references because all my references are private and confidential. Then God bless you. I'm not the right client for you.
I agree with you.
And that's what I've always maintained. Now, you are here on this platform, and it would be a shame on me if I let you leave this platform without at least giving some advice. How can people save taxes? You are very good at that. You've helped me a lot. You have saved me and my company millions and millions of dollars in taxes. So,
Yes, sir.
so give a little bit of your knowledge to our listeners.
I think the first thing we all want to know is planning. You must plan. So, and the planning does not begin at the end of the year. Planning is from day one to the 365th or 366th day. So, tax ideas to save, there are plenty of them around. But first thing you want to do is make sure your books are perfect. You are not either overpaying your tax that you could have deferred, or the books are not in balance and you're paying taxes on unbalanced books. So that's number one. Books must be correct. Number two is you figure out how you can minimize, I would say more frequently, I say optimize your tax. So you may be paying minimum tax today, but in 2 to 3 years, you're going to pay a lot more tax. Again, it's not worth it. So you have to optimize the tax with a set of constraints that you have. So generally, the tax savings ideas, a lot of them are used, and some of them are very obvious, like family income splitting, that we try to do as much as you can do. Pension plan, you optimize the pension plan as much as you can do. Again, deferring the income and accelerating the expenses, if you can do. Always do that. Defer the income, accelerate the expense, so you are pushing the income to the next year and getting the expenses for the current year. Take full advantage of depreciation laws. That's another important thing. Currently, there are a lot of depreciation for the equipments, less than 15-year item available that we can take 100% depreciation. Use those. As you know, Mr. Trump, our past president, he used a lot of it. And Doc, we've used for you a lot of advantage of using the real estate depreciation. And the other thing I want to really mention is that if your spouse is not employed full-time somewhere else, use your spouse as a vehicle to show a real estate person. And there are some real estate rules that you use, but if you can qualify under those rules, it's a great idea that you can make some passive income into active income. The last one I still want to talk about is how to convert your ordinary income into capital gain item. Ladies and gentlemen, if whoever is watching this or who is listening to this, they must do this. Try to convert your ordinary income into a capital gain item. Ordinary trades can be 37%, or if Biden administration raises it, it could be even higher. But the capital gain tax, long term, can be 20 or 23.8%, depending upon your situation.
No, these are all great ideas, and the viewers, even if you try one or two of these, it will still make a big difference. It has made a big difference in my life, in our company's life, as far as the taxation and the way things have gone. Before we depart, I still would like to talk about one more thing. and that also he's very good at and has really helped me a lot is estate planning. So can you let our viewers, listeners know a little bit what should they know about estate planning, and who should or who needs estate planning?
That's an excellent question, Doc. And let me begin with this. Anyone, as soon as they become adult, they need to have their estate planning done. Now, estate planning has several phases. So it's not only estate tax savings, but first thing is your wealth, whether it is $100 or $10 million, where do you want it to go and how should it go? So what we call that is a will. So at the same time, if your children, you want to have a guardian. At the same time, you want to have a health power of attorney. And all those things. So basic estate planning, I tell anybody who is adult and who is adult, they should have that. Now, the question is, what else do you do going beyond? So now there are the will always will go to the probate. So if you fail, and probate in Texas is not that bad, but in other states it's quite expensive sometimes, And not only that, but probate is a hassle, So to avoid the probate, we always recommend living trust. That's a revocable trust. So that we must do. Now, this is all basics. Again, here there is no high net worth or anything like that, But then now you can go a lot more. If you have a high net worth or you're in your own private business, then I always recommend that do the limited partnership asset protection. So then asset protection comes in picture, And going there further, you want to reduce your estate so that currently the estate tax, that exclusion amount we call it, is 11.7 million per person. So that can go down, and we don't know when it will go down, but thank God what I'm hearing so far at this year, at least it's not going down, So the idea is you want to minimize that, use the resources to, although you have more money, but at your death, you're less than 11.7 million. Or during lifetime, you give gifts so that 11.7 million comes down. Now, something called estate freezing principle that we have. So if you give today, it freezes, What only thing it does is you don't get a step up in basis. So whatever you give to the kid or the trust has your basis that passes through, Now, limited partnership, it gives you discounts, So a lot of discounts you get, minority discount and lack of marketability discounts. So these discounts you want to use. Now, the IRS and the Congress is trying to get away with those discounts for particularly a small family LP, So we need to worry about that and use those discounts as early as we can, and when it's available,
Very good, very good. I'm pretty sure what you said in the last few minutes took you decades to get there. So
Correct.
For viewers also, I don't expect that all of us will get all these things in few minutes that he mentioned, but at least it makes us think harder and start putting things in place. And I'm sure Micah is going to make sure that his contact information will be on the screen, or somehow you'll be able to get in touch with him, although he's very busy. And depends on his business, he will see how many people he can accommodate to give advice. But he's always available as far as his clients and other people, they need him. Again, viewers, thank you very much for listening. Please follow us on the social media. Go to the website, www.bharatsangani.com, and sign up for the Life is the Business Today on the website. We look forward to see you again in the next show. Hopefully these shows are bringing value to you. And UN, as always, thanks for being a gracious host to us.
Thank you, Doc. You always have, I believed in you and I still believe in you, and I learned from you a lot. Thank you.
So kind of you. Thank you.
You.